Hey Scouters, we're here to visit today about your annual budget and planning process there. This is a great exercise after you've put together the calendar for your troop or pack to make sure that you know what it is you're budgeting for. Now, this is not the most glamorous project in the world, but it really is necessary for families to have the best possible scouting experience and make sure that they know what they're stepping into. This is also important because it ensures that we've got funding to support a full 12 months of scouting at a time. Sometimes you sadly hear about units that have to cancel events that are later in the calendar year because they have run low on finances for them. And so we want to avoid that. This budget that we have is designed to run from August 1st until July 31st. It follows both the academic calendar as well as our council's charter cycle. This document and additional instructions are available from your district executive or commissioner. And the entire thing is an unlocked Excel sheet, so you can edit or change any of the equations, things like that you need to. But if you just want to take it as is, you only need to worry about these highlighted cells. It prints out to a one-page document to make it easy for you guys. Another thing to notice about this is that scouts who join a few months before recharter actually end up prepaying the local council program fee and the national registration fee for that coming charter cycle. And when we look at this, you'll see that that cost is reduced out of the budget, so it's not something to worry about. All right, so the first thing is looking at and figuring out how much does adventure cost. The national registration and local program fee is listed at the top, and that deduction that I mentioned is right there in red. In this case, we had 6 youth that joined in advance, and that's going to reduce the registration fee for this cycle by $396. And then using the calendar you've already built, I'm going to plug in our highlight activities that our scout unit is going to do. On here, you can see for this Cub Scout pack that I'm working with, we've got a Pinewood Derby, and we're going to pay for the cars that siblings are going to be running. And for that reason, we expect 115% of our total scouts to participate in this event. And that's why I've got 115% of our scouts participating. And that tells me that I'm going to spend close to $160 in cars and supplies and things like that. Lower on the sheet is an opportunity for equipment needs or additional expenses. This is great spots to put things that don't specifically slot into only one activity or are long-term expenses. Troops. This is a great spot to put the cost of tires or maintenance for your troop trailer, things that you might not need to buy every year, but you need to start budgeting for every single year. Lastly, and I think this is an important one, you can see the total cost of adventure for this unit is $4,700 down here at the bottom corner. And based on the amount of scouts that we're going to recharter that we put at the top, I can tell you that that's $204 per kid that's in the program. This is important, especially when we start talking about what the revenue side of the unit is going to be, because it gives us an opportunity or an anchor to share with families and let them see exactly how much benefit, financial benefit they're gaining from scouting. Now, in this unit, we were fortunate enough that we had enough money left over from the previous year to completely pay for our recharter. So that's a great aid to us. It means that it's lower out-of-pocket costs for families as they're jumping in. But it also means that by the time we're done with everything we're doing, we want to bring in enough money to replenish what we spent here. We want to make sure that that's a gift that we can give moving forward. Next, you can see what our unit's popcorn goal is. We looked at this and we said, how much money do we want to generate from popcorn? Part of why we went with $2,500 of unit revenue is because that's about the council average in the Grand Canyon Council for units that participate in popcorn. And for us to get $2,500 of revenue, we are going to have to go out and sell $7,500 worth of retail. Same is true with camp cards. That's using council averages. There is one more line on there for additional fundraisers. That would be if you aren't using the council provided fundraisers. I recommend you put it on its own line because there's those sale equations built into the other ones here. But if you run solid fundraisers that meet the needs of your scouts, you probably only need to do 1 to 2 per year. And remember, fundraising isn't why most of our families got involved in scouting. It's how they pay for it, but it's not why they showed up. So be mindful of that, and let's not have year-round fundraisers or activities that just seem to never end in that capacity. As a result of this, if we operate at an average level with popcorn sale and camp card sale, it means that we can deliver that full year of program that you saw one page earlier for the low cost of $25 out of pocket per scout and $5 out of pocket per adult. And the way I figured those numbers out was trial and error. These are the last two cells that I filled in on the sheet, and I filled these in. I kept going back down to the bottom and seeing what our revenue over expenses was. I started by putting in $20, and I said, oh, I'm not going to have as much money left over this year as I had the previous year. And then I tried putting in $40. I said, oh, $40 may or may not be a financial hindrance to my families, but it got me way over what I'd had last year. Let's try to get as close as possible using roundish numbers, or I didn't want to get down to $27.34 and do something like that. So that's how we got this one. And it was pretty easy because all the formulas were already in place. So last item on this, to keep things brief, is some best practices or pro tips from solid, high-performing units, both in the council and around the country. One of the big things is, and we already mentioned it, the recharter cost, while it is kicking off the next program year, it is getting paid for with this past program year. This means families don't need to reach for their wallets to renew their scouting experience. Next, we shared the annual cost with families so they know what's expected of them, but they can also see what they're getting for it. The other thing this lets you do, there's always a family that says, well, we don't want to sell popcorn. Well, we don't want to participate in this capacity or that capacity. And you're able to go back and say, well, our cost per kid is $204. If you don't feel like helping out at the expected level or at the fair share level that the rest of our families are, then I need you to just pony up the cash for this. And it removes some of those barriers there. We also keep talking about fundraising. I'm supposed to be talking about budgeting, and I keep bringing up fundraisers. And the reason for this is because fundraisers are a wonderful way to remove the financial barrier of scouting to our families. So if you offer fundraisers, it means that people can get in for lower costs out of pocket, and it means that there's less opportunities or reasons for someone to say that they don't want to get involved. At the end of the day, our goal is to serve as many young people with the fantastic character traits and experiences that scouting can offer, and so getting rid of barriers to entry is paramount in us being successful there. And then lastly, families who join throughout the year, folks who are not part of the recharter, because this was designed for the recharter side of things, it's really recommended, and some of our most successful units follow this trend. Collect the registration cost up front. Ask for whatever portion of the unit dues are going to be needed before the next fundraiser, what's going to be spent in the immediate future. But don't hit them with the entire cost of 12 months of scouting. Hopefully you're doing those fundraisers so that they can pay for this, but also let's just ask for enough to get to that next opportunity there, and that just makes it a whole lot more palatable for everybody. So that's it. I appreciate your time. I thank you for what you're doing. Again, for the source document that this budget was built off of, for additional assistance and support on this, please visit with your district executive or your unit commissioner. Thank you, and have a great day.